Artists, today we are going to continue learning about texture. First, we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it in half once. And if you'll notice, my paper is horizontal. While my paper is horizontal, I'm going to fold it kind of like a book. And I'm going to aim for my best to match the corners up as even as I can. And I'm going to crease that fold, and I will have created one fold. I have folded my paper in half. Now, I'm going to take that fold, and I'm going to do it one more time. Crease that fold. Now I have a skinnier section of paper. My last fold, I will take the bottom to the top and crease. We are preparing our paper for our project. When you open up your fold, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rectangles. You're going to take a black crayon, and I want you to trace right over top of the lines that you've created with your folds. So I should have 1, 2, 3 vertical lines, and 1 long horizontal line so that I can see my 8 rectangles a little bit better. After you trace the lines for your rectangle, flip your paper over and write your name and your class code on the back. Now we're ready to talk about texture plates. These are texture plates. One side is bumpy. You can feel a bumpy texture. And one side is smooth. We want the bumpy side to be facing up because we're going to add these textures to our paper. Each table will have a variety of textures. Bumpy side should always be facing up. I want you to pick one texture, bumpy side up. Put your paper on top. Then you're going to use one of the crayons that doesn't have any paper on it, and this is very important. We are not going to color on top of the texture plate. We are actually going to put our crayon flat, and we are going to push and pull that crayon right on top of the texture plate. But I only want you to do it in one rectangle. So aim for your best to stay inside of your rectangle. I have just created a texture rubbing in one rectangle. Then I want you to switch texture plates. So I'm going to try a new plate. Make sure that the bumpy side is up. Try a new color. So the texture plate goes first, then your paper. Pick a new color. Remember, put your crayon flat, push and pull, and you'll have a second texture in your second rectangle. And I want you to keep going so that you have a different texture in each one of your rectangles. Remember, bumpy side up, paper on top, new color, crayon on the side, push and pull. And I want you to fill your rectangles up with different textures and different colors. When you're finished, we're going to turn our paper vertical. And we're going to use an ink dauber to create a large heart on our paper. And I'm going to teach you a really easy way to make a heart. Now these bingo daubers are very, very messy, and there are 2 rules when we use these. The number 1 rule is that we do not touch the sponge. The sponge will stain your clothes and it will stain your fingers, so we do not want to touch the sponge. The second rule is that we do not squeeze the bottle. If we squeeze the bottle, we will make a mess that could stain our clothes and we could stain our fingers and ruin our artwork. So we don't touch the sponge and we do not squeeze. The very first step to making a heart is we're going to make a really big letter V. I want you to find the middle line. I want you to draw a V shape straight down from the middle line to the edge, and I want you to go up from the middle line to the edge. The ink will come out just by pushing down. You don't need to squeeze. Then, to make the top of our heart, we're going to do a letter M shape, a lowercase m. So we're going to connect our V with an M. So we have a letter V and a letter M. And we have just created a heart on top of our paper. Now we have to wait for our heart to dry. It shouldn't take very long, but once our heart is dry, we will be able to add some paint inside of our heart. Now that my heart is dry, I'm going to either add some pink or red watercolor right on top of my textures. I should still be able to see my textures and crayons show through. So I'm going to dip my brush into my watercolor, and it is just a real light color. It doesn't have to be very bold. I'm going to add my color right to the heart. I'm actually going to mix mine up to make it a little bit darker. There we go. That pink looks a little bit better. So I'm going to lay down my pink or red right on top of the textures that I made with the crayons, and I will still be able to see them because I'm using watercolor. Try to stay inside of the heart that you made, but if your paint does touch the heart, it's okay because the ink is permanent and it won't blend with your heart color. When you are all done, your heart will be filled in with your pink or red, and your background will stay with just textures. Now we have a watercolor heart with a textured background.